Raina's small fingers shook as she pushed the crumpled bills across the pharmacy counter. The notes stuck together, sweat and fear making them cling to her palms. She forced herself to breathe as the pharmacist counted. Once, twice, his mouth tightening with every bill he stacked. "That's all I have," she whispered. Her voice sounded tiny in the bright, sterile room. The pharmacist sighed, eyes soft but unyielding. "I'm sorry, sweetheart. This isn't enough for the full prescription. I can't give you your mom's medicine without the full amount." The words hit harder than any slap. For a moment, the humming refrigerators and soft beeps of the register faded into a dull roar in Raina's ears. She saw Mom's face in her mind, pale against the pillow, lips cracked, breathing like each inhale was a mountain to climb.
"If she doesn't get it," Raina managed, "she'll get worse." "I know," he said quietly, "but my hands are tied." Her throat burned. She grabbed the money back before he could see the tears spilling over, and nodded like she understood something she never would. The automatic doors whooshed open, and the hot afternoon air slammed into her as she stepped outside. The world felt too bright, too loud, too normal. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you are watching from in the comments. Enjoy the story. Cars rolled past on the street. People laughed into their phones. A kid zipped by on a scooter, all while Raina's world was quietly collapsing. She walked home fast, shoes slapping the pavement, the envelope of money clutched so tight in her hand that the paper bent around her fingers. Their house looked even smaller today, slumped at the end of the street like it was tired of standing. The grass was overgrown, the paint peeling, the porch railing loose at one corner. Raina paused at the front door, listening. The cough came first, dry, weak, followed by a ragged breath that scraped the silence. Mom was still alive. For now. Inside, the air smelled like antiseptic, and something else she couldn't name, something sour and tired, like worn-out days. The living room was dim, curtains half drawn to keep the heat out. On the wall, the biggest thing in the room stared back at her, the framed photo of Dad. Tommy Cross grinned out of the picture in his black leather jacket, one arm thrown over the gleaming handlebars of his Harley Davidson. The chrome shone like a second sun, reflecting his crooked smile and wild eyes. He looked indestructible in that photo, untouchable, permanent. He'd been gone 2 years. Raina swallowed hard and stepped closer. Her gaze slid from Dad's face to the corner of the frame, where someone had tucked an old key on a nail. The garage key. The one Dad used to jingle whenever he said, "Come on, kiddo, let's let the road clear our heads." Back then, if something was wrong, a ride fixed it. A ride and his laugh and the sound of the engine. Now, nothing fixed anything. Another cough from the back bedroom snapped her out of the memory. She hurried down the short hallway. Mom lay on the bed, skin pale, dark hair plastered to her forehead, eyes half closed. The medicine bottles on the nightstand were mostly empty, some tipped over like they'd given up, too. "Hey, baby," Mom rasped, trying to smile. "Did you get it?" Raina's heart twisted. She couldn't tell her the truth. Not yet. "Working on it," she said instead. I need a little more money." She set the envelope on the dresser, face turned so Mom couldn't see her trembling lip. "I'm going to figure it out, okay?" Mom's hand moved weakly across the sheets, finding her daughter's fingers. "You always do,"
she whispered. "You're your father's girl." Raina squeezed back and pulled away before the tears spilled, mumbling something about getting water. In the hallway, the air felt heavier, pressing down on her. She stared at the living room photo again, then at the key. There was nothing else left to sell. They'd already sold the TV, the jewelry, the nicer furniture. The bank had taken the second car. The few toys she'd had were gone. The only thing of real value left in this house was behind that garage door. Dad's bike. Raina stood in front of the photo, heart pounding in her ears. "I'm sorry, Dad," she whispered. "I'm so sorry." Her fingers closed around the key. The metal was cool and familiar. She walked through the kitchen, past the empty table, to the door that led to the garage. The lock resisted for a second, then turned with a tired click. The smell hit her first. Oil, rubber, and dust. The space was dim, light slicing in through a small, dirty window. In the middle of the garage, under a gray tarp, sat the last piece of the life they used to have. She stepped forward and grabbed the edge of the cover. For a moment, she hesitated, like pulling it off would make everything final. Then she yanked. Dust bloomed into the air. The Harley stood revealed. Black paint still holding a dull shine under the grime, chrome dulled but proud. The wide handlebars reached out like open arms, the seat worn perfectly to Dad's shape. Raina could almost hear the engine, feel the vibration in her chest. Freedom, Dad had called it. He said the bike knew every good road and every bad decision he'd ever made. "Freedom can't buy medicine," she whispered. Her hands shook as she ran her fingers along the tank. Part of her wanted to scream, to throw the key and slam the door and pretend she'd never had this thought. Selling the bike felt like erasing Dad, like telling the world he didn't matter anymore. But Mom was in the next room, fighting for every breath. And Raina was 7, but she wasn't stupid. Love didn't pay bills. Memories didn't stop fevers. She wiped her eyes with the back of her wrist and forced herself to move. On the workbench sat an old metal box with a busted latch. She dragged it closer, prying it open. Inside were random tools, loose bolts, a crumpled bandana, and under all of it, a folder of folded papers. The title. Dad's name on it. Tommy Cross. Her chest ached as she traced the letters. "You'd tell me not to do this," she said softly. "You'd say we'd figure something else out. But you're not here." And Mom might not be either if she didn't act. She shoved the papers into her backpack, grabbed the key, and pulled the garage door open. The afternoon light washed over the Harley. For the first time ever, she swung a leg over the seat alone. Her feet barely reached the ground. She didn't dare try to start it herself. Instead, she walked it, one shaky step at a time, guiding the heavy machine down the short driveway. Every scrape of gravel under the tires sounded too loud, like the universe was watching. At the end of the street, she stopped and caught her breath. Big Eddie's auto and bike shop wasn't far, but it felt like another world. Everyone in town knew Eddie. People said he had more tattoos than morals, but he bought bikes, and he paid cash. That was all that mattered. The ride there was slow and awkward, Raina half rolling, half guiding the bike, cars swerving around them, some drivers honking, some staring. By the time she reached the rusted sign that read Big Eddie's, her arms burned and her legs shook. The shop sat hunched beside a gravel lot, garage doors open, music thumping from inside. Men in grease-stained shirts worked on cars and bikes, laughing too loud. Raina's stomach flipped as she pushed the Harley into the yard. A big man with a belly like a barrel and tattoos snaking up his neck stepped out from the shadow of the doorway. His beard was gray in patches, his eyes small and sharp. "You lost, kid?" he asked. Raina swallowed. "You're Big Eddie?" "Depends who's asking." She gestured behind her with a shaking hand. I want to sell a bike." His gaze slid past her and landed on the Harley. The change in his face was instant. His eyes narrowed, then widened, then settled into something like recognition. "Where'd you get that?" he demanded. "It was my dad's," she said. "Tommy Cross." Eddie's eyebrows twitched. He walked around the bike slowly, fingers brushing the seat, the tank, the bars. "Haven't heard that name in a while," he muttered. "You saying he's dead?" Raina said, the word heavy and final. 2 years. Eddie grunted, then crouched to examine the engine. After a long moment, he stood and faced her. "You got papers?" She pulled the title from her backpack and handed it over. He scanned it, then grunted again. "How much you looking for?" "Enough for my mom's medicine," she said. "She's really sick. The pharmacy wouldn't—" He cut her off with a wave. "Don't need the sob story, kid. I'll give you—" He rattled off a number. Raina didn't fully understand if it was fair. All she knew was it was more money than she had ever held. "It's enough for the medicine?" she asked. He shrugged. "Should be. You selling or not?" She looked at the bike one last time. Every good memory she had of her dad was wrapped up in that machine. His laugh, his stories. The way he'd tap the tank and say, "This thing will outlive us all." "Guess you were wrong," she whispered. "I'm selling," she said, louder. Eddie nodded, called out to one of his guys, and jerked his chin toward the bike. As they wheeled it away, he stepped back toward the open garage and picked up a phone from the workbench. Raina watched, frowning, as he dialed. He turned slightly away, but his voice carried. "Yeah," he said into the phone. "Got a Softail in—" "Yeah, that one. Tommy Cross's. Little girl just brought it in, title and all." He paused, listening. "Uh-huh. Thought you'd want to know." A chill crawled down Raina's spine. She had no idea who was on the other end of that call. She only knew it had something to do with her dad. Something she didn't understand. Eddie hung up, stuffed some cash into an envelope, and lumbered back to her. "Here. Count it if you want." She didn't. She clutched the envelope like a life raft and nodded. "Thank you." He snorted. "Don't thank me, I got a good deal." By the time she reached the pharmacy again, the sun had dipped lower in the sky. This time, when she slid the envelope across the counter, the pharmacist's eyes widened. "This is enough," he said. "Wait here." Minutes later, she walked out with a small paper bag that felt heavier than the bike ever had. At home, Mom's eyes filled with relieved tears when Raina showed her the medicine. "You did it," Mom whispered. "You're my hero." Raina forced a smile and turned away before Mom could see the guilt on her face. That evening, after Mom finally drifted into an easier sleep, Raina crept out to the front steps. The garage door was closed now, hiding the empty space where the Harley had stood. The house was quiet. The street was quiet. Too quiet. She hugged her knees to her chest and stared at the sky. Stars were just beginning to appear when she felt it, a faint vibration in the concrete under her feet. She frowned, listening. The rumble grew, low at first, then building, like thunder rolling in from far away. The windows rattled in their frames. A dog down the street started barking. Headlights flickered between the trees at the end of the block. One motorcycle turned the corner, then another, then 3, then 5, then 10. Within minutes, the entire street was flooded with bikes, engines roaring, chrome flashing under the streetlights. Neighbors stepped onto porches, murmuring, staring. The line of motorcycles stretched as far as Raina could see. Leather vests marked with the same patch. A skull with wings and a halo of flames. Hell's Angels. They slowed to a stop in front of her house, engines idling like growling beasts. Raina's heart hammered so hard it hurt. She rose to her feet, frozen in the porch light. From the front of the pack, a massive man swung his leg off his bike. He had a silver beard, scarred knuckles, and eyes that had seen too much. He pulled off his helmet and looked straight at her. "Where's Tommy's bike?" he asked, his voice cutting through the noise. Raina's mouth went dry. The envelope money, the missing Harley, Eddie's phone call, all crashed together in her mind. They knew. The street was alive with engines, chrome, and leather. Raina stood frozen on the porch steps, her pulse hammering in her ears as the massive man with the silver beard stared her down. Behind him, dozens of bikers sat on their machines like a wall of muscle and metal, faces hard and unreadable beneath the streetlights. "I asked you a question, kid," the man said, his voice gravelly but not unkind. "Where's your daddy's bike?" Raina's throat closed. She wanted to run, to hide, to wake up and find this was all a nightmare. But Mom was inside, fragile and barely breathing, and these men were here because of something she'd done. I sold it," she whispered. The silence that followed was worse than any yelling. The man's jaw tightened. A few of the bikers behind him exchanged glances. One shook his head slowly, muttering something under his breath. "You sold it?" the man repeated, stepping closer. "Tommy Cross's Harley?" She nodded, tears blurring her vision. "My mom's sick. She needs medicine. I didn't have any money. The bike was the only thing." "You don't sell a brother's bike," he cut her off, his tone sharp now. "Not without telling the club, not without asking." "I didn't know," Raina's voice cracked. "I didn't know I was supposed to ask anyone. It was my dad's. He died 2 years ago, and nobody came. Nobody helped us." The man stopped, his expression flickering for just a moment. He glanced back at the others, then crouched down so he was eye level with her. Up close, she could see the scars along his knuckles, the patch on his vest that read Joker above a row of symbols she didn't understand. "Your daddy was one of us," he said quietly. "A brother. And when a brother falls, the club takes care of his family." "But we didn't know you were in trouble. Tommy never told us he had a daughter." Raina blinked. "He didn't?" Joker shook his head. "He kept you and your mom off the radar. Said it was safer that way. Guess he was trying to protect you from this life." He gestured to the bikes, the men, the chaos. "But now you're in it whether you like it or not." "Why?" she asked, voice small. "Because that bike wasn't just a bike," Joker said. "It's tied to the club, to your dad's legacy, and now it's in the wrong hands." Like and subscribe for more stories. Raina felt her stomach drop. What do you mean, wrong hands? Joker stood, his face hardening again. Who'd you sell it to? Big Eddie, she said quickly. At the shop on... I know where Eddie is, Joker interrupted. He turned to the others and raised his voice. Eddie's got it. That means Vince knows by now. A ripple of tension moved through the crowd. Raina heard muttered curses, the rev of engines. One biker spat on the ground. Who's Vince? Raina asked. Joker looked down at her, his expression grim. A man who's been looking for that bike for a long time. Eddie works for him. And if Vince has it now, things just got a lot more complicated. But why does he want it? Raina pressed. It's just a bike. No, it's not, Joker said. Your daddy hid something in that Harley. Something Vince wants real bad. We don't know exactly what. But Tommy told me once that if anything ever happened to him, we needed to make sure that bike stayed with the family. He was protecting you. Raina felt dizzy. Her dad had never mentioned anything like this. He'd just been dad, loud, funny, always smelling like motor oil and cologne. He told her stories about the open road, taught her to check tire pressure, let her sit on the bike and pretend to steer. Nothing about secrets, nothing about danger. I didn't know, she said again, voice breaking. I just wanted to save my mom. Joker sighed, some of the hardness leaving his face. I know, kid, and you did what you had to do, but now we gotta fix it before Vince disappears with that bike and whatever your dad left inside it. What are you going to do? Raina asked. We're going to get it back, Joker said simply. He looked back at his crew. Gear up. We're paying Eddie a visit. Wait, Raina said. I'm coming with you. Joker frowned. No, you're not. This isn't a field trip. That bike was my dad's, she said, her voice steadier now. And I'm the one who sold it. If Eddie or Vince or whoever needs proof that I want it back, I have to be there. Joker studied her for a long moment, then glanced at one of the other bikers, a wiry man with a scar across his eyebrow. The man shrugged. She's got a point. Fine, Joker said. But you stay close, you do what I say, and you don't speak unless I tell you to. Got it? Raina nodded. And your mom? He asked, nodding toward the house. She's asleep, Raina said. The medicine knocked her out. She won't wake up for hours. Joker hesitated, then pulled out his phone and made a quick call. Sending 2 guys to watch the house, he told her, just in case. Within minutes, 2 bikers peeled off from the group and posted up near the porch, arms crossed, eyes scanning the street. Joker gestured to his bike, a beast of black steel and chrome. Get on. Hold tight and don't let go. Raina climbed on behind him, her small hands gripping the sides of his vest. The leather was worn and warm. The engine roared to life beneath her, vibrating through her entire body. The convoy moved as one, a river of motorcycles flowing through the quiet neighborhood, engines echoing off houses and trees. Raina's heart raced. She'd never been on a bike since Dad died. The wind tore at her hair, the speed stole her breath, and for just a moment, she felt like she was flying. But the feeling didn't last. They were heading toward something dangerous, and she knew it. Big Eddie's shop came into view, lit up by floodlights and surrounded by chain-link fence. The lot was nearly empty now, just a few cars and a couple of bikes parked near the garage. The Angels circled the property, engines rumbling like a storm about to break. Joker cut the engine and dismounted. The others followed suit, forming a loose ring around the shop entrance. Raina slid off the bike, her legs shaky. Eddie appeared in the doorway, wiping his hands on a rag. When he saw the angels, his face went pale. "Evening, Eddie," Joker said, his tone casual but cold. "Joker," Eddie said carefully. "Didn't expect to see you tonight." "I bet you didn't." Joker stepped forward. "Heard you got something that belongs to us." Eddie's eyes flicked to Raina, then back to Joker. "Don't know what you're talking about." "Tommy Cross's bike," Joker said. "Little girl here sold it to you a few hours ago. Now we want it back." Eddie licked his lips. "Already sold it. Nothing I can do." "To Vince," Joker said flatly. Eddie didn't answer, but his silence was confirmation enough. "You know what that bike means," Joker said, stepping closer. "You know what Tommy was carrying, and you sold him out anyway." "I didn't have a choice," Eddie said quickly. "Vince has people everywhere. He finds out I'm holding something he wants, I'm done. You know how it works." "Yeah, I know," Joker said. "But you made your choice. Now you're gonna help us get it back." Eddie shook his head. "Can't do that. Vince already has it moved. I don't even know where." Joker's fist slammed into the door frame, the crack echoing across the lot. Eddie flinched. "Like and subscribe to stay updated." "You're lying," Joker growled. Before Eddie could respond, the sharp growl of engines cut through the night, different from the Harleys, heavier, angrier. Raina turned and saw headlights spilling into the lot from the far entrance. Black SUVs. 3 of them. The angels reacted instantly, hands moving to weapons tucked in vests and waistbands. Joker grabbed Raina and pulled her behind him. The SUVs screeched to a halt, doors flying open. Men stepped out, dressed in dark jackets, faces hard, eyes cold. From the center vehicle, a man emerged. Tall, lean, with slicked-back hair and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. He wore an expensive leather jacket and moved with the calm confidence of someone who always got what he wanted. "Joker," the man said smoothly. "Didn't think you'd show up so fast." "Vince," Joker replied, his voice flat. Vince's gaze slid to Raina, then back to Joker. "I see you brought the kid. Smart. She's the reason we're all here. After all, you got no business with her," Joker said. "Oh, but I do," Vince said. "Her daddy took something from me, hid it in that pretty bike of his, and now, thanks to this brave little girl, I finally have it back." "That bike's not yours," Raina said, stepping out from behind Joker before she could stop herself. Vince raised an eyebrow. "Brave and stupid, just like Tommy." Joker's hand shot out, stopping her from moving forward. "What do you want, Vince?" Vince smiled. "Simple. You all turn around, ride away, and forget this ever happened. I keep the bike. Everybody lives." "And if we don't?" Joker asked. Vince's smile widened. "Then I make a phone call and the little girl's mom has a very unfortunate accident tonight. Medicine stops. Power gets cut. Lots of things can go wrong in a hospital or a home." Raina's blood turned to ice. Joker's jaw clenched, but his voice stayed steady. "You threatening a sick woman now?" "I'm being practical," Vince said. "Walk away, Joker. This isn't your fight anymore." For a moment, no one moved. The air was thick, the tension unbearable. Raina could feel her heart pounding in her throat. Then Joker nodded slowly. All right, we'll go. Raina looked up at him, confused, but his hand squeezed her shoulder. A warning. Don't speak. Smart choice, Vince said. Joker turned, guiding Raina back toward the bikes. The other angels followed, engines starting one by one. But as they moved, Joker leaned close to Raina and whispered, Get ready to run. Like and subscribe now. She barely had time to process his words before he gave a sharp whistle. Two bikers at the edge of the group peeled off, engines screaming as they tore around the back of the shop. Vince's smile vanished. Stop them! Chaos erupted. Shouts, engines, the crack of something metal hitting the ground. Joker grabbed Raina and pulled her toward his bike. Hold on tight! The night exploded into noise and motion, and Raina held on for her life as the world blurred around her. Joker's bike roared to life beneath Raina, the engine screaming as he twisted the throttle. Chaos exploded around them, shouting, the screech of tires, the sharp crack of something metal slamming into concrete. Raina's arms locked around Joker's waist as the bike lurched forward, weaving between the parked vehicles in Eddie's lot. Behind them, Vince's men scrambled, doors slamming, boots pounding pavement. Two angels had already disappeared around the back of the shop, their engines fading into the distance. The rest of the crew formed a moving wall, bikes circling, blocking Vince's SUVs from following. Go, go, go! Someone shouted. Joker didn't slow down. He cut a sharp turn, gravel spraying, and headed toward the side exit. Raina's breath caught in her throat as they squeezed between a chain-link fence and a rusted dumpster, the metal scraping close enough to touch. Then they were out, barreling down a narrow alley, the sounds of the chaos fading behind them. Raina's heart hammered so hard she thought it might break through her ribs. Where are we going? She shouted over the wind. Somewhere safe, Joker yelled back. Hold on! They burst onto a side street, the bike leaning hard as Joker took another corner. Streetlights blurred into streaks of yellow. Raina squeezed her eyes shut, trusting him completely because she had no other choice. Minutes later, they slowed. Joker guided the bike into an industrial area near the edge of town, pulling into the shadows behind a closed warehouse. He cut the engine, and the sudden silence felt deafening. Raina's legs trembled as she climbed off. What just happened? Joker swung off the bike, his face grim. Vince made his move faster than I thought. He's got people watching us. Probably had them tailing us the whole time. Did the others get away? Raina asked. They know what they're doing, Joker said. He pulled out his phone, checked it, then cursed under his breath. No signal. We'll regroup soon. Raina's chest tightened. What about my mom? You said Vince would... I've got two guys at your house, Joker reminded her. Vince isn't stupid enough to move on her while we're still in play. That was a bluff to make us back down. But what if it wasn't? Raina's voice cracked. Joker crouched in front of her, his scarred hands resting on his knees. Listen to me. Your mom is safe. Vince wants that bike and whatever's inside it. He's not going to waste time going after her when he already has what he came for. Then why are we here? Raina asked. Why didn't we just take it back? Because Vince had 6 men and 3 vehicles, Joker said. We had surprise, but not enough firepower. If we'd pushed it, people would have gotten hurt. Maybe you. Raina looked down at her hands. They were still shaking. So, what now? Now, Joker said, standing. We wait for the others to check in. Then we figure out where Vince is taking that bike. And then? Then we take it back, Joker said simply. The right way. 15 minutes passed in tense silence. Raina sat on the curb, hugging her knees, while Joker paced, checking his phone every few seconds. Finally, it buzzed. He answered immediately. Yeah, got it. He hung up and turned to Raina. They're at the safe house. Let's move. The safe house turned out to be a small garage on the outskirts of town, tucked between empty lots and a stretch of train tracks. Inside, a dozen bikers stood around a workbench covered in maps, phones, and coffee cups. The air smelled like oil and cigarettes. The wiry man with the scar, Raina remembered Joker calling him Razor, looked up as they entered. Glad you made it. What's the word? Joker asked. Razor pointed to a phone on the table. Got a text from Eddie. He's scared out of his mind. Says Vince is moving the bike tonight to a chop shop across the state line. Once it's there, it's gone for good. Where exactly? Joker demanded. He didn't say, but he wants to meet. Says he'll tell us in person. Joker's eyes narrowed. It's a trap. Probably, Razor agreed. But it's the only lead we've got. Raina stepped forward. Then we go. We don't have time to waste. The room went quiet. A few of the bikers exchanged glances. Kid's got guts, one of them muttered. Joker rubbed his jaw, thinking. If it's a trap, Vince will have men waiting. We go in heavy, he'll see us coming. We go in light, we're outnumbered. So what do we do? Raina asked. Joker looked at her, then at Razor. We split up. Half of us meet Eddie like he asked. The other half circles around, watches from a distance. If it goes south, we hit them from two sides. Razor nodded. Smart. Who's going in? Me, Joker said. Razor, you're with me. Bring two more. He paused, then looked at Raina. And her. What? Razor frowned. You're bringing the kid into a trap? If Eddie sees her, he'll believe we're serious about getting the bike back, Joker said. She stays behind me the whole time. Anything goes wrong, you get her out first. Razor didn't look happy, but he nodded. Your call. Like and subscribe for more. An hour later, they were back on the road. The meeting spot Eddie had chosen was an abandoned gas station on the edge of town, the kind of place nobody went to anymore. The pumps were rusted, the windows boarded up. Weeds growing through cracks in the concrete. Joker, Razor, and two other bikers pulled up slowly, engines idling. Raina sat behind Joker again, her pulse racing. The place felt wrong, too quiet, too empty. Eddie's truck was parked near the side of the building, headlights off. He stepped out as they approached, hands raised like he was surrendering. Easy, he called out. I'm alone. Joker cut the engine and dismounted, motioning for Raina to stay close. Start talking, Eddie. Eddie glanced around nervously. Vince is moving the bike to a warehouse near the docks. Big place, lots of security. He's got it scheduled to leave in 2 hours. Why are you telling us this? Joker asked. Because I'm done, Eddie said, his voice shaking. Vince threatened my family. Said if I didn't help him, my daughter would pay for it. I can't do this anymore. Joker studied him. You expect me to believe that? I don't care what you believe, Eddie snapped. I'm telling you where the bike is. What you do with it is your problem. Razor stepped forward. What's the address? Eddie rattled it off. Razor pulled out his phone and typed it in, checking the map. It's real. Warehouse district near the water. Joker nodded slowly. All right. If you're lying, I'm not, Eddie interrupted. I swear, just leave me out of it. Joker turned to leave, then paused. One more thing. What's Vince looking for in that bike? Eddie hesitated. I don't know all of it, but Tommy was gathering evidence, photos, documents, something that could take down Vince's whole operation. Corrupt cops, dirty money, all of it. Tommy was going to use it to protect his family and the club. But he died before he could. Raina's breath caught. Her dad had been trying to protect them. All this time, she'd thought he was just a biker who loved the road. But he'd been fighting something bigger. Then we're getting it back, Joker said. They mounted up and pulled away, leaving Eddie standing alone in the dark. As they hit the main road, Razor pulled up beside Joker. You trust him? No, Joker said. But we don't have a choice. The warehouse loomed ahead, a massive structure of concrete and steel near the waterfront. Floodlights bathed the front entrance, and a chain-link fence, topped with barbed wire, surrounded the property. 2 guards stood near the gate, armed and alert. Joker's crew had regrouped a block away, bikes hidden in the shadows. They crouched behind a row of shipping containers, studying the layout. Vince knows we're coming, Razor muttered. Of course he does, Joker said. Eddie called him the second we left. Raina looked at him confused. Then why are we here? Because Vince thinks he's smarter than us, Joker said. He's expecting a frontal assault, so we're gonna give him one. Razor grinned. Diversion? Exactly. Joker turned to the group. Half of you hit the front gate, make noise, draw them out. The rest of us go in through the back, grab the bike, and get out before they know what happened. What about Vince? Someone asked. If we see him, we deal with him, Joker said. But the bike comes first. Raina's stomach twisted. This was it. The moment everything either came together or fell apart. Joker looked down at her. You stay with Razor. If I say run, you run. Understood? She nodded. Good. He stood, checking his weapon. Let's move. The team split. Half roared toward the front gate, engines screaming, headlights blazing. Shouts erupted, guards scrambling. Gunfire cracked through the night. Joker, Razor, Raina, and 3 others slipped around the side, cutting through a gap in the fence. They moved fast and low, boots crunching on gravel. The back entrance was unguarded, exactly as Joker predicted. They slipped inside. The warehouse was cavernous, filled with crates, machinery, and shadows. In the center, under a single hanging light, sat her father's Harley. Raina's heart lurched. There it was. Freedom. But surrounding it were 8 men. And at the front stood Vince, arms crossed, smiling. Took you long enough, he said. Like and subscribe now. Joker froze. Razor cursed under his breath. Raina's pulse hammered in her ears. Vince stepped forward, his smile widening. Did you really think I'd fall for that? Behind them, the doors slammed shut. More men appeared from the shadows, weapons raised. They were trapped. The warehouse doors slammed shut with a finality that echoed through the cavernous space. Raina's breath caught as armed men emerged from the shadows, circling them like wolves. Vince stood in the center, bathed in the harsh overhead light, his smile sharp and cold. I have to admit, Vince said, hands in his pockets, I expected better from you, Joker. A diversion? Really? Joker's jaw tightened, but his voice stayed calm. Let the girl go. This is between you and me. Oh, but she's the star of the show, Vince said, his gaze sliding to Raina. Little girl sells her daddy's bike to save her dying mother. It's almost poetic. Except Tommy's bike was never really his to sell, was it? Raina's hands clenched into fists. My dad earned that bike. Your dad, Vince said, walking slowly toward her, was a snitch. He spent months gathering evidence against my operation, thinking he could take me down and walk away clean. But he didn't count on losing control of his precious Harley on a rainy highway, did he? The words hit Raina like a punch. You killed him? Vince shrugged. I didn't have to. Fate did the job for me. But now that bike is mine, and everything hidden inside it will disappear tonight. Just like your father. Over my dead body, Joker growled. Vince's smile widened. That can be arranged. The tension in the room was suffocating. Razor shifted beside Raina, his hand moving toward his waistband. The other bikers stood rigid, eyes darting, calculating. They were outnumbered and outgunned. But Joker didn't flinch. You think this ends here? You think the club's just gonna let this slide? The club, Vince said dismissively, is a relic. You're dinosaurs clinging to some outdated code of honor while the world moves on. I'm a businessman, Joker, and business is good. Not for long, Joker said. Vince raised an eyebrow. Bold words from a man surrounded by my people. Joker took a slow breath, then tilted his head slightly. You're right. We're surrounded. But you made one mistake. Oh? Vince's amusement faltered. You assumed Eddie told you everything. Before Vince could respond, the lights went out. The warehouse plunged into darkness, and chaos erupted. Shouts, the shuffle of boots, the metallic click of weapons. Raina's heart slammed against her ribs as someone grabbed her arm. Razor. Stay low, he hissed, pulling her toward the floor. Gunfire cracked through the dark, muzzle flashes lighting up the space in staccato bursts. Raina pressed herself against a crate, hands over her ears, terror flooding her veins. She heard Joker's voice cutting through the noise, barking orders, and the roar of engines somewhere outside. Then, a new sound, louder, closer. The crash of metal. The warehouse's back wall exploded inward as a truck smashed through, headlights blazing. More bikes poured in behind it, angels flooding the space, engines screaming. The tables had turned. Vince's men scattered, some firing wildly, others running for cover. The angels moved with precision, cutting off exits, corralling the enemy. Joker was a blur of motion, disarming one man, dropping another with a brutal punch. Raina stayed low, her pulse hammering. Through the chaos, she saw it. The Harley, still sitting under the light, untouched. Freedom, her father's legacy. She didn't think. She just moved. Crawling on her hands and knees, she weaved between the crates, the noise deafening around her. A man stumbled past, clutching his arm, not even noticing her. Another shout, another gunshot. She kept going. Finally, she reached the bike. Up close, it looked exactly as she remembered. Scratched but proud. The chrome dulled but still gleaming. She ran her hands over the seat, the handlebars, tears blurring her vision. "Raina!" Joker's voice cut through the noise. "Get back!" She turned just in time to see Vince emerging from the shadows, gun raised, his face twisted with rage. "You ruined everything!" Time slowed. Raina froze, staring down the barrel. Then Joker was there, slamming into Vince from the side. They crashed to the ground, grappling, the guns skittering across the concrete. Raina scrambled backward as the two men fought, fists flying, grunts of pain echoing. Joker landed a brutal punch, and Vince went limp. Breathing hard, Joker stood, grabbed the gun, and tossed it to Razor. "Secure him!" Razor nodded, dragging Vince away. The fighting had stopped. Vince's men were either subdued or fled. The warehouse was eerily quiet now, smoke hanging in the air, the smell of gunpowder sharp. Joker walked over to Raina, crouching beside her. "You okay?" She nodded, unable to speak. He looked at the Harley, then back at her. "Your dad would be proud." "What happens now?" Raina whispered. "Now," Joker said, "we open it up. Like and subscribe for more." Razor brought over a toolbox, and together they examined the bike. Joker ran his hands along the frame, tapping, listening. Finally, his fingers found a seam near the gas tank. He pried it open, revealing a hidden compartment. Inside was a small metal case. Joker pulled it out carefully and opened it. Inside were USB drives, documents, photographs, evidence of everything Vince had done. Corrupt officials, smuggling routes, money laundering, all meticulously documented. "Tommy spent years gathering this," Joker said quietly. "He was going to bring Vince down, protect the club, protect you and your mom. He just ran out of time." Raina stared at the evidence, her chest tight. Her dad hadn't just been a biker. He'd been a hero. And she'd almost lost everything he'd worked for. "What do we do with it?" she asked. Joker closed the case. "We finish what he started." 3 days later, the news exploded. Federal agents raided multiple locations tied to Vince's operation. Arrests were made. Corrupt officials were exposed. The evidence Tommy had gathered brought down an entire network. Vince was arrested at the warehouse, charged with dozens of crimes. He'd spend the rest of his life in prison. Raina sat on her front porch, the evening air warm and quiet. Mom was inside, recovering, her breathing steady now. The medicine was working. The house felt lighter somehow, like a weight had been lifted. Joker's bike rumbled up the street, pulling into the driveway. He dismounted, helmet under his arm, and walked over. "Thought you might want this back," he said, nodding toward the truck behind him. Raina's breath caught. There, on a trailer, sat her father's Harley, cleaned, polished chrome gleaming in the fading sunlight. It looked like new. "We fixed it up," Joker said. "Thought it belonged here." Tears spilled down Raina's cheeks. "Thank you." Joker crouched in front of her. "Your dad left you more than a motorcycle, kid. He left you a family. The club's always gonna look out for you and your mom. You need anything, you call." Raina nodded, throat too tight to speak. Joker stood, then reached into his vest and pulled out a small patch, a skull with wings and a halo of flames. "When you're older, if you want it, this is yours. You're an honorary member, Tommy's daughter. That means something." Raina took the patch carefully, running her fingers over the stitching. "I won't let him down." You already haven't, Joker said. He turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and one more thing. What? Your dad left something else in the bike. A letter. For you. He handed her a folded envelope, weathered and worn. Raina's hands shook as she opened it. Raina, if you're reading this, something went wrong. I'm sorry I'm not there to protect you, but I need you to know something. You are stronger than you think. Braver than I ever was. The bike is yours. The club is your family. And no matter what, I'm always with you. Ride free, kiddo. Love. Dad. Raina pressed the letter to her chest, tears streaming freely now. Mom stepped onto the porch, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. He's still with us, Mom whispered. Yeah, Raina said softly. He is. As Joker's bike faded into the distance, Raina walked over to the Harley. She ran her hands over the handlebars, the seat, the tank. Freedom, legacy, family. She climbed on, feet barely reaching the ground, and closed her eyes. For just a moment she could feel it, the wind in her hair, her father's laugh, the open road stretching out forever. Thanks, Dad, she whispered. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold. The Harley sat quiet, proud, waiting. And Raina knew that one day, when she was ready, she'd ride. Like and subscribe now. But the story wasn't quite over. 2 weeks later, Raina found an envelope slipped under the door. No return address. Inside was a single photograph, her and her mom, taken just yesterday at the grocery store, and a handwritten note. Your father made enemies. Not all of them are in prison. We're watching. Raina's blood ran cold. She looked out the window, scanning the street. Nothing unusual, but the message was clear. This wasn't over. She picked up her phone and dialed Joker. He answered on the first ring. We've got a problem, she said. I'm on my way, he replied without hesitation. As Raina waited, she walked back to the Harley, the patch Joker had given her in her hand. She looked at the skull with wings, the flames, the symbol of family and loyalty. Her father had fought for her. The club had saved her. And now she would fight back. Because she was Tommy Cross's daughter. And she wasn't afraid anymore. The engine of Joker's bike rumbled in the distance, growing louder. Raina stood on the porch, shoulders squared, ready. Whatever came next, she wouldn't face it alone. The Harley gleamed in the driveway, chrome catching the last rays of sunlight. Freedom, legacy, family, and the road ahead, uncertain but hers to ride.